following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Sounds like 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick and Michael Cindric. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
To Joe and John.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's a beautiful Monday afternoon. Depending on where you are, it could be raining somewhere else, may not be quite as beautiful. But nonetheless, we have got a lot of sports to talk about. I'm very thankful to be feeling better. Boy, Thursday and Friday were a little rough, but things have recovered nicely. And for that, I am greatly appreciative. So let's call roll. And let's start up on the plateau and say hello to Coach Watson Brown. Watson, how are you?
Hello, George Plaster. I miss you, man. I mean,
you know what? I missed you as well.
I can tell. You look 10 years younger now that you feel better. Last Thursday, man, I thought we not need to be calling some people to come and get you ready or something. I didn't know, but you look good.
Well, back on Thursday, it was a major league snot fest. that may be more than you need, but your concern is truly touching.
I can tell. Yeah. And coming out of that nose, that is a fest.
Wow. So that's where we're going right off the bat.
What the heck? I
could have been on the bed, and you
just laid that one open to me, George. I couldn't pass on that one.
Yeah, I got you.
Couldn't pass on that one, man.
What's really sad, Watson, I mean, I expect that out of you, but I would have hoped that young Billy Derrick would be supportive. Let's bring him up. And instead, he seemed to enjoy it.
George, that was a good one from Watson. That was really good.
Yeah, well, let's see where you're working tomorrow.
George, you ready for the update?
Well, no.
We got to get to Terry first.
No, I'm not ready for the update. I mean, first things first here. Let's relax a little and take this one step at a time. Did you have a good weekend?
I did, George. I enjoyed it.
Well, tell people what went on.
So my sister got married. It was a really fun wedding. It was in Nashville, so we had a lot of people coming in town. Lot of Irish Derricks coming in town and Currans, and everybody had a big time. So it was fun.
Watson, were you invited?
No.
You know, I wasn't either. We may need to check into that, but I am told through sources that liquor consumption was high.
Yes, it was. When you get Derricks in there, George,
I believe it.
Hard to contain him.
Okay, you do have work to do because we have Terry's Daily Titans update, which is award-winning, so let's do it.
All right, George, let's get to it. Here it is, Terry's Daily Titans update.
Terry, the Titans get down to the real stuff today with pads on, and that means it's getting serious.
Yeah, today was the first day of the pads that the pads could go on at practice, and right out of the gate, they did 11 on 11 in a red zone period, and Derrick Henry was one that they held out of that, probably wisely. Don't want to, beat him up unnecessarily here early in camp, but certainly a different level of intensity when the pads go on.
Terry, on Derrick Henry, is this the way he wanted it, or was this simply the team making that decision?
I'd say it's probably a little bit of both, George. I mean, obviously, they know what they have in Derrick Henry. They don't want to put him through any unnecessary risk. They know he's the type of guy that he'll do whatever it takes to get ready for the regular season. So I'd say it's probably a collaborative effort, not putting him in harm's way any more than they have to, and Derrick taking care of himself and being ready for the regular season.
Terry, a few days ago, you felt like Ryan Tannehill was sharper than what you remember a year ago. Not a lot of balls being dropped or tipped. Do you still feel that way?
I mean, he's not had as good of days as he did that very first day with the offense, but he's still been pretty consistent. He still looked pretty good. I think now that the pads have gone on, then you got to see it ramp up to another level. He's got to continue that when the things really count. And I think that, as you go into these padded practices and you start to see which receivers can get separation with the pads on, which guys can't, then that's going to help your quarterback to know who he can trust and who he can't. And I look for it to be kind of a work in progress. Early in practice, it looked like the defense kind of got the better of the offense in that first team period, George.
Give me this. Obviously, fans in this area very interested in Malik Willis and his progress. What have you seen so far? How would you characterize what you've seen?
See a rookie quarterback who has some talent, obviously, but I think he's definitely not ready right now because you see, even in 7-on-7 periods, he's holding the football too long, thinking about things, trying to figure out where to go with the football, who's open, who's not. And as you know, George, the windows close a lot quicker in those passing lanes and passing routes in the NFL than they did at Liberty University. So he's a typical rookie. He's going through that learning phase of, hey, this is not Liberty anymore. I think he's going to be fine in time, but right now he's swimming a little bit in the deep water.
Okay, give me a couple of other notes of players that have stood out either for the good or the bad that you want to mention.
All right. I think when you look at some people who have looked really good early on, I think Caleb Farley is a guy on the defense that they're really counting on. Now, before the pads went on, he was looking really good. He's got length, in his arms that you don't normally find in a cornerback. I think if they can have this guy be healthy, I think he's going to be a real answer for them in the secondary. Also, a couple of guys that have looked good early on in camp to me. Traylon Burks has really looked good. He had the rough time during the OTAs with the conditioning issues, but thus far in camp, he's answered the bell. And then another rookie, Kyle Phillips, has looked really good in that receiving core too. I would look for him to at some point in preseason take over and be the primary slot receiver.
Terry, thanks as always. We'll do this again tomorrow, same time, same place.
All right, sounds good, George.
Okay, so here we go now to the update, and obviously we have got some big stuff out there. Billy, you have a reader and then item number 1.
Yes, I do, George. The update and this entire 4 o'clock hour is presented by the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners. They are proven to be trusted with your most personal asset. Call them at 615-906-8458. And then number 2, Sumner Funeral and Cremation. They are sharing their family with yours in your time of need. Now with 2 convenient locations in Gallatin and Hendersonville, and online at sumnerfuneral.com. Sumner Funeral and Cremation, traditional, affordable, and dignified.
Okay, item number 1.
Item number 1, George, we begin. The biggest news of the day. We've got this ESPN TV in here, and that's all it's been showing is Deshaun Watson. He is all over the news. According to multiple reports, the NFL's disciplinary officer ruled that Deshaun Watson would be suspended for the first 6 games of the 2022 season following civil lawsuits from 24 different massage therapists alleging sexual assault and misconduct. So, first 6 games. What say y'all?
Okay, Watson, we're going to spend a lot of the hour on this. I know you think he got off light. Just give me a thought, and then we'll move on.
If this one is hard, I thought it would be a little more, but when he's not been charged, George, it's a little harder. I don't know where you go with discipline at that point, but 6 games, I'm telling you, light or not light, that is a big break. I know we're going to get into this, but that's a big break for the Cleveland Browns, man. I'm telling you, makes you wonder if they didn't know a little bit about where this was going before they did the deal, that they got an idea of the ballpark or what it might be. That's what it tells me. And it's a great break for Deshaun because that's not that far down the road. I mean, 6 games goes fast. That's what, a third of the season, something like that. Close to it. That's that's a great break for him and the Browns. And it's a tough call when he's not been charged and there's not video of what he did in some way or anything. 24 young ladies is a bunch, but still he was not charged criminally at this point. And I would think it looks like he's not going to be. What do you do? How do you go about it? And why is it taking this long? Did they had to wait to make sure he wasn't going to be charged criminally? Is that what's taking so long before they put it down? There's a lot of questions to me left with this, George. And I don't know of anyone we can go back and compare it to, because most of these guys have been charged that are disciplined. And,
Watson, hang on to all this, because
even though he's lost money civilly.
Yeah. Hang on to all this, because we're going to get knee deep into this in the first segment after the update. Billy, item number 2.
Item number 2, George, Bill Russell, one of the most iconic athletes in the history of sports, passed away. Adam Silver said, quote, the greatest champion in all of team sports. He was 88 years old, only 88. I thought he was a little bit older, but really a legend. I mean, you can't say enough about Bill Russell and his legacy.
We will spend a lot of the 5 o'clock hour on the life and times of Bill Russell. Watson, when you look at his resume athletically, man, I don't think there's a human being on this earth that can compare with all of the achievements. It's unbelievable.
No, fantastic man. And absolutely one of my idols growing up, George. He's never been out of my top 5 of all-time NBA players. And it really bothers me to see him not in the top 10 or whatever. And I've seen some different ones where he's not. He played basketball the way I thought growing up basketball was supposed to be played. It was defense, rebounding, hustling, going after balls, toughness. It wasn't shooting the basketball. That wasn't what I watched in the old Celtic days. They beat you with just old grit, toughness, and that old hot gym, and everybody'd wear out. And I know we're going to get into this later, but he's in my top 5 of all time. And no way he would come out of it.
Well, I'm a little bit like you all. If he's not in your top 5, I think I saw Michael Wilbon say this last night, then what kind of list do you have? It was really interesting to me, Watson, to watch last night. Sports Center at 9 o'clock after the Sunday night game between the Giants and the Cubs. They spent basically the first 45 minutes on Bill Russell. It was amazing coverage.
That's fantastic, because it's well-deserved.
Yeah,
absolutely well-deserved. You can't give this man enough credit. I don't think he's gotten enough through the years, and he's gotten a lot. I understand that, but I don't think he's gotten enough. And because Bill's not one, to me, George, that wanted to stick out. He didn't just go promote himself. You didn't feel that way when he was playing. He didn't pat his chest, and that wasn't him. He was fine with getting 22 rebounds and nobody ever call his name. I mean, that's the way he played the game. I wish there were more in today's world that played like he did.
Amen. Okay, item number 3.
Real quick here, George. Item number 3, and we've talked about this, ad nauseum the first few weeks on the show here, but Sportico released a really interesting stat comparing the Cowboys' worth and the Titans' worth. The Cowboys are reportedly worth $7.64 billion, while the Titans are worth $3.29 billion. And I think you told me, George, they're 23rd on the list from ranking the NFL teams. So kind of a little update there. The Cowboys worth almost $8 billion, Titans worth around $3 billion.
Yeah, in fact, let me say this. I have no idea what Sportico is, nor do I spend my life worrying about them. It makes for good talk. I don't know how, I know they've interviewed people and they've tried to come up with different stuff. But Watson, to me, it's like selling a home. It's whatever the potential buyer is willing to give you. I don't know that you can put a dollar figure. It makes for good talk, and I guess that's what I'm saying. And other than that, I don't think it's worth the paper it's written on.
No, but I think I can see how it would be that. The Cowboys are long-lasting history, America's team forever. The Houston Oilers turned into the Tennessee Titans. It took a while to get all that done. I can see how that could be, guys. I don't think that's any disrespect to the Titans at all. I think they've done well and to be worth what they are. But the Cowboys, to me, there's the reasons, in my opinion. The Cowboys have been there all the way through from day one forever.
Final story,
George. The 49ers and Deebo Samuel have agreed to a 3-year extension worth over $70 million. So Deebo Samuel finally gets that deal that him and everybody else has been waiting on.
And Watson, he got paid. It sure seems like now that was the only thing he wanted. You remember when he first came out, it was, I want out, I want traded. It was all about this and nothing else.
Yeah, I think you're right. You get late in the year, you get put out. It don't go the way you want. I'm talking about get put out of the playoffs. And then that stuff comes up. But as the year gets on, you get on down the road a little bit, money comes back into the picture. And he may have felt that way early, but I think when it came down, $58 million guaranteed.
Not
58
bad.
million guaranteed. He's set for the rest of his life. I mean, if he takes care of that right, this man's set for the rest of his life. And I do think he's one of the best in the game right now because he can do so many different things for a team. I mean, you line up back there, tailback, you play wide receiver, you can return kicks. I mean, this guy is very, very valuable in my opinion.
Okay, that's our update. We will go to the break, and when we come back, the very latest on the Deshaun Watson suspension. Now, what will the NFL do to retaliate? Stick around. This is Main Street Media Television.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615
847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
And we've got a lot to talk about. So Deshaun Watson basically gets a 6-game suspension through the arbitrator in this case, Susan Robinson. Watson, here is the part of this that to me is insane. Now, either side would have had the opportunity to appeal. The NFL Players Association announced last night that they were not going to appeal no matter what, which does lead to the suspicion that they knew sort of where it was. Now the NFL has the right to appeal. They have to do it within the next 3 days in writing. And then it could fall in the hands of Roger Goodell. And I'm telling you, this is just my opinion, but if Roger Goodell ends up deciding this ultimately, he is going to get ripped to shreds, as will the NFL. This is stupid.
I didn't know it could even go that far, George. That's surprising to me. If I'm the commissioner, I don't mess with this. That's other people make those decisions, and they should go by them. I mean, that's the way it works to me. If I'm him, I nip this in the bud before it ever gets to that point.
Oh, absolutely. But that is out there. One of the things it really says, Watson, through collective bargaining, this is the process the players have agreed to. Shame on them for having what a friend of mine calls the backbone of a chocolate eclair. As inconsistent as Goodell's rulings had been, for them to, in collective bargaining, continue to agree to this is insane.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, and I really don't understand it. Why they wouldn't take a stronger role in that? Explain that to me. Why do you think that is?
Well, because I don't think, in the end, I don't think their players' union is anywhere near as strong as baseball's. I think that's been proven for years that the Major League Baseball players would never put up with what the NFL does. And I think one of the things that is an advantage is for baseball over football is the fact that the players have longer careers. And in football, they don't want to risk the possibility of a strike because they're all sitting there going, I may only have 4 years. Man, I got to get it while the getting's good.
Yeah, that's sad, but I can understand it because their lifespan in their sport is anywhere close to baseball, not anywhere close. So I that's still a poor excuse to me, but at the same time, you got to get the right people in that are going to take care of everybody, to me, George. And you don't put the selfish guy on there. So I don't know how you figure that out, but in my opinion, the Player Association, the NFL, has got to change somehow, some way here in the next few years, or they're going to hurt themselves. Don't you think Deshaun Watson is sitting there saying, "Whoo, I'll take it. I don't want anybody taking this any further.
Oh,
I'll take
absolutely.
the 6 games and let's go. Forget it. I don't want to talk about it again." If I'm Deshaun Watson, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and Watson, I think after the next break, we may be able to go up to Cleveland and get a guest on from radio station WKNR, which I think I'm right is the Browns' flagship. But Watson, first of all, he's able to play in the preseason games. So I want you to take me through what your philosophy would be if you're Kevin Stefanski, because on one hand, he needs as many reps as he can get. He hadn't played in a year and a half. On the other side, you got Jacoby Brissett, who's going to be the starter for 6 games to begin the season, assuming he's able to stay healthy. So how do you mix up the playing time?
I think he plays a little bit in every game. I mean, there's still 2/3 of a season left when Deshaun gets back, so he's going to need some. Jacoby's been around. He's not inexperienced. If this was a younger quarterback, it might be a bigger problem. I would say Deshaun's going to play the first quarter, and Jacoby will play the second. Jacoby will play the second quarter of all 3 of these games, and I'll bet you they leave starters a little longer just so Jacoby can get to play with them a little bit too, at least part of them at that point. But they're planning on down the road. I don't think they're in their minds thinking we're Super Bowl worthy this year anyway. But I bet you Deshaun plays in all 3 of those games, and he's going to get a lot of practice time.
So given your offensive coordinator background, and maybe you're saying, George, I don't know, I've never dealt with this, but Watson hasn't played a game, I want to make sure I got this right, since December of 2020. Yeah. So come game 7, when they trot him out there, what level of rust do you think he has?
Not bad, because they'll fix it in preseason. He'll be in all those practices against people. I've got a great example of that to me when Eric Jones transferred from Northwestern to Vanderbilt when I was the head coach, and I knew how good this young man could be. I gave him a lot more scrimmage time and practice time when that year that he was going to play than I'd normally do a quarterback. I let him get hit a little bit because he had sit out a year. And so I've kind of been through that a little bit, but I think it's very easy to pick up. Eric, when he sit out that year, I mean, he started out on fire and was a really good player. So I don't think that's going to be that big a deal.
Well,
George, you doing okay?
You know, that wasn't real good.
You want me to? You need a break?
Well, you've got the schedule up.
I've got it. I've got it, George. I'll take it from here. Get you some water. But Watson, we've got the Browns schedule here, the first 6 games. As you look at that, 4 of those 6 are at home. So you look at that. Does that? I mean, you got to believe that helps them for potentially when Watson comes back, October 23rd at Baltimore.
Yeah, Billy, I'd say they're sitting there begging to go out 3-3. If they could come out 3-3, I think they would just be slapping hands and think they got a shot. At Carolina, who knows? New quarterback there too. Mm-hmm. The Jets have not proven anything. Pittsburgh's got a new quarterback, 2 straight home games they can win now. And then at Atlanta, who's got a new quarterback. This really is the first 4 games are really a good start for them. So they could go 2-2 out of that, or 3-1. The next 2 are toughies, but they're home. You got the Chargers in New England at home. This is not a bad start of the year schedule with a backup quarterback. I mean, nothing's good with a backup quarterback, but this is not a bad schedule.
Well, first of all, you've got as good a backup quarterback as you're going to find in that league. Brissett's been there before. Mm-hmm. Watson, this schedule, it's as though the Browns sent it in and said, okay, give him 6 games, but we can tread water with this.
Especially look at the first 4. I mean, there's not a one on there that scares you in that first 4. Not a one. And it's interesting that he gets to come back for the Baltimore game, that rivalry. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
And you think there won't be some eyeballs on that game? That one's got Monday night written all over it.
Fireworks.
Sunday night.
Well, you know what? Go back to that for just a second if we can. Let's go back to that. I don't know how early they can flex, but you're right. The level of national TV interest, if this plays out the way we think.
Was that? Do you think that was a little bit intentional at all? Or am I going? I mean,
well, given the fact that they're not in a position to, we wouldn't think, to tamper with the arbitrator, the woman who made the decision, Susan Robinson.
Probably not.
I think as suspicious as we are of the NFL, even we can't go there.
Yeah.
So, Watson, let me ask this question. So, Robinson's sitting there, Deshaun Watson, is sitting there and has maintained all this innocence. But now she has said that he is guilty of sexual misconduct and thus the suspension. So his reaction, either, man, I got off light, or absolutely not, I'm not guilty of anything.
I would think if I'm in his shoes, I don't even discuss it. It's over. It's done. Let's get on to football. I would leave it alone if I'm Deshaun Watson. It's still going to be discussed, but if I'm him, I don't discuss it. And especially early here, let it die a little. Just say, whatever the suspension is, I was going to deal with it anyway. Whatever they did, that I was going to accept it and go on. And it's out there now, and I'm ready to go on. And let's get this out. It's not been a great deal, and it's time to move on. I would not get into it whatsoever.
Yeah. And Kevin Stefanski, the coach of the Browns, has got to hope that Roger Goodell stays the hell out of this. And if he's smart from a PR standpoint, Watson, he will stay out of it.
Well, if he doesn't, it also throws a wrench into what they've set up. If this is the way you do it with an arbitrator, then why do you come back and overrule it after it happens? I mean, I don't think he will touch it. I think he's going to let this one go. I think the one thing about our commissioner, he knows how to take care of himself. So I think he stays out of this one.
Well, yeah, at $44 million a year.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you take care of yourself?
He's not a
dummy. You have to take care of.
Oh, absolutely. No kidding. Okay. After the break, we will go up to Cleveland, Ohio, and check in on radio station WKNR, which has carried the Browns games for many years.
And George, his name's actually Emmett Golden. So Emmett Golden from up in Cleveland.
And as far as we're concerned, he is golden. And this is Main Street Media Television.
I've done sports. I've been a photographer. I've been an editor. I've been a producer. I've been a reporter. I've been an anchor. I mean, I've done every job you could possibly imagine this. And so sports was a way to have fun and be different. But then I realized community is where it's at, and community and local and doing places and going, seeing people. And, sports, you go to a stadium, everybody celebrates and they go their different ways. But community-wise, there's so much going on.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit wellskinmd.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Durad Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuradRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuradRadonMitigation.com.
I think journalism is like politics. It's all local, and I think Main Street Media has really hit on something that I've been preaching for 50 years. And keep the news local, right? Local stories for local readers, and that's what I like about Main Street Media. I finally found somebody who agrees with me philosophically about concentrate on local subjects, local topics, and you'll bring your readers in.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
We are back. We'll head up to Cleveland in about 2 minutes. Couple of notes real quickly on this Deshaun Watson suspension. First of all, the league has issued one of its mind-numbing press releases basically saying that they will examine the situation over the next 3 days. They do have the right to appeal. And in the appeal, Commissioner Roger Goodell could either decide that he is judge and jury or appoint someone else to do that. It seems like a complete waste of time. It would be a stupid PR move for Goodell if he did it, which probably means he'll do it. Item number 2, just a thought here, Watson. If Jacoby Brissett were to get hurt in those first 6 games that Watson is not there, the Browns' third-string quarterback right now is the journeyman Josh Rosen.
Another guy with experience, though. So they'll get him second half work. And honestly, they've set it up. It makes you wonder if they didn't have some thought process that this is going to go down like this. To bring in 2 journeymen to get you through the early part of the season, knowing you're going to get Deshaun Watson within the year. Because I really wondered, George, if he'd play at all this season, that it might be a season, another season to sit out or just play late in the year or something like that. This is better than I thought it would be.
When would you have worried? Let's just take that scenario. If this had been a year-long suspension, this would have been 2 years where he had not played in the NFL. I mean, I don't know of a case. I can't think of a case where that's happened before. Then would you have worried about rust?
Yeah, more so, yes. I think 2 full seasons is a different world. But he's young. Yeah, I mean, if it's an older guy that's body deteriorates when you're not playing as much, but yes, I would have thrown up more of a red flag in 2 years over 1, no doubt.
And repeating what we did earlier, and I don't know if we can put the schedule back up there, but to me, Watson, Kevin Stefanski's got to be sitting there going, man, at Carolina, very winnable. Jets, obviously, if you can't beat them. Pittsburgh, no Ben Roethlisberger, very winnable. At Atlanta, extremely winnable. You take the last 2 home games. Chargers are going to be a handful. New England could be a handful. You know, if you're Stefanski, you got to be sitting there going, hey, give me 4-2 and we'll never play that schedule.
I think he'd say, give me 3-3 and we won't play the schedule with a backup quarterback myself. And like I said, I think they'll be slapping hands if they're 3-3 and Deshaun's coming back because they're right in the mix of everything. Their style of offense also fits covering up a quarterback some. They get that running game going like I've seen them do last year some, and all you're doing is throwing a play action pass here or there and just helping out. A little bit like Tannehill got to do 2 years ago, George, if you remember. Late in the year, I mean, we're running as well. I remember him throwing 10, 11, 12 passes in a game. I mean, so if that happens, they might win more than you think. You got to put the Browns. You remember when I did my little deal, we did it way back 3 weeks ago or so. I had the Browns listed at the bottom with a parenthesis, Deshaun Watson, because I think they got a good team. And now that this has happened, and if they do come out 3-3 or better, I put them up there, in the lookout mode, and I think that'll put some heat on the Bengals.
Look out.
Judge Robinson releasing a statement, although this is the most significant punishment ever imposed on an NFL player for allegations. Mr. Watson's pattern of behavior apparently brings us.
You get up, George. George needs another water break. Watson, I've got the TV here from Sue Robinson. Recognize that the only discipline mentioned in the CBA is a fine or suspension. I nevertheless believed it appropriate for Mr. Watson to find he has to have no adverse involvement with a law enforcement and must not commit any additional violations of the policy. So not sure what you got there with that quote, Watson, but Sue Robinson obviously right in the middle of all of this.
I think what I saw, Billy, what I heard was no criminal charges. That's what I hit on earlier. So that's she's using that as one of the reasons this is as far as it goes. And she also defended it by saying this is the strongest punishment we've had in this kind of area.
Yeah, so there's still a lot to happen in this, and I think we got George back. But
yes, I'm alive. He is alive.
George, what's going on? Are you still recovering a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, look, obviously, you have 5 days that you got to spend to get over this kind of stuff. And, there's a little residual. And Watson, why are you laughing? That is so hurtful.
Well, I'm just sitting here saying you're not going to have to worry about getting a workout in later. I mean, you're going back and forth right now, pretty good bit. So have you worked up a sweat yet, or you?
Well, first of all, over the last day or so, I've had very little of this, and of course, how nice that it would creep up right now.
This would be a lot easier in radio. Just mute it, go outside, and
yeah.
But you got to do a little bit more behind the scenes for this.
Yeah, it's a little more technical. By the way, we're hoping to be joined, and who knows what's happened here, but if we're able to pull it off, Emmett Golden from ESPN Cleveland should be joining us, and don't really know what's happened there, but
yeah, George, we're working on that. There's hope for that. But,
okay.
He is hosting. He does host a radio show. I'm not exactly sure when he's on the air, but we will continue to monitor that, and hopefully we'll be able to get Emmett on.
Okay, we'll go to the break on that, and then we're kind of playing this by ear. Stat of the day, in theory, is up next, so stick around. This is Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
I've done sports. I've been a photographer. I've been an editor. I've been a producer. I've been a reporter. I've been an anchor. I mean, I've done every job you could possibly imagine this. And so sports was a way to have fun and be different. But then I realized community is where it's at, and community and local and doing places and going, seeing people. And, sports, you go to a stadium, everybody celebrates and they go their different ways. But community-wise, there's so much going on.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
It is time for Stat of the Day, which has not always been our strongest suit. However, Watson, I didn't attempt to cheat, but I saw the answer ahead of time. I don't know how else to say it.
Lose today?
Well, look, I could spill the beans.
Well, you're going to spill the beans.
Oh, absolutely. Let's
Thank
go
you.
to the question first.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. Let's pull that thing up.
All right, George, first stat of the day presented by John English Sports, Antique Sports and Cards. They specialize in vintage and historical sports equipment, games, advertising, and other sport-related items. You can visit John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee, open Tuesdays through Fridays from noon to 5 o'clock and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Visit JohnEnglishGradedCards.com. The stat of the day, George, we'll see if you remember it. I know you saw it about an hour ago or so, but we'll see if you can remember that. What U.S. pro sports team has been in the same city with the same name for the longest period of time?
Now, Watson, let me say here again, I didn't attempt to cheat, but I walked in on seeing the answer. So just give me some thoughts, excuse me, of what you may be thinking as you look at that question.
I'm thinking East Coast.
I'm thinking you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
Check that out.
What sport are we discussing here? That helps.
You know, I would think it would be an opponent of the Atlanta Braves.
A frequent opponent.
Frequent opponent of the Atlanta Braves.
So frequent they might be playing tomorrow night.
Well, I don't even know who that doesn't help me any. I don't know who they're playing tomorrow. So I know it's, well, the Mets weren't in it. The Yankees, the Red Sox, possibly.
Keep going.
Who do they frequently play in their division?
Would the words Bryce Harper mean anything?
Oh, the Phillies, huh?
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Phillies. Well, that's okay.
Yeah,
I would have said Red Sox, Phillies, or Yankees. That would have been my deal.
So they go 1883, but my first thought when I saw that answer was, wait a minute, what about Connie Mack in the Philadelphia A's?
Well, aren't they counting that as Philadelphia?
I don't know.
I bet they are. Be willing to bet you they are.
Thought it was kind of a strange deal, and I don't pretend to know all of the particulars, but that is your stat of the day. And Watson?
So the Philadelphia A's, though, George, they were a Major League Baseball team that played in Philly from 1901 to 1954. Then they moved to Kansas City. So I guess they're just including the A's, the Philadelphia A's. In that.
And now they're stuck in that dump out in Oakland, the mausoleum. Okay, Watson, you ready to shift gears?
Where are we headed, buddy?
Well, we're headed to the 5 o'clock hour. I never thought about it, given the fact that I'm wearing green today. But obviously, around the country, people are mourning, but hopefully also celebrating an incredible life of Bill Russell, who passed away yesterday at the age of 88. Watson, we put together a graphic, and we're going to use this a lot for you and I to share some memories of Bill Russell that a younger audience wouldn't even know about. For instance, he was once a player coach of the Celtics. Now, I know there have been others. Lenny Wilkins at one point was a player coach, I think, with the Cavaliers. But, I mean, think about that. That's an incredible burden to not only be a player and to perform at the kind of level he did, but also have to make the coaching decisions.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, George, I can't say enough. I know we're going to get into a lot, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the different things that he's done. But gosh, you're talking about one of my idols. That's just all there is to it.
An incredible man. Let's take a look at this.
Player coach, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember very well. As a little kid, I saw Bill Russell play. And
did Tommy Hudson do that too?
You know, he might have.
I'm not sure he wasn't a player coach.
One of the things I remember was that Bill Russell, and admittedly, he had the better teams, but he also had the upper hand on Wilt Chamberlain. And there is a famous NBA Finals in the late 60s where Butch Van Bredikoff, whose son, Jan Van Bredikoff, was later a Vanderbilt player and even later the head basketball coach, Butch Van Bredikoff benched Wilt Chamberlain at the end of Game 7 of one of those classic duels between Russell and Chamberlain, and Wilt went berserk, and I can't say I blame him.
No, I don't get that one. I don't know why in the world you would do that, but I vividly remember that. And he did. He won. He had his number, And he didn't always have his number. That was one heck of a battle now. I mean, there'd be one game Wilt would be the better player maybe, and then the next week it was Russell. But Russell got him more than Wilt wanted. I can tell you that right now. And you said, well, yeah, but he was on the better team. He made it the better team. That's the reason they were. You can take anybody off of that you want. John Havlicek, Bob Cousy. I don't care who you take off. You take Bill Russell out of that, and that ain't the same Celtic team.
Let's take a look at that graphic if we can, because it'll give you some pretty amazing things to talk about. First black head coach to lead an NBA team. And Watson, think about the city he was doing that in Boston. It doesn't get more racially charged back then than that.
No, and he handled that so well, George. Golly bum, so well. And it says first black head coach to lead an NBA team to championships. He won 2 titles as a player coach. That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah. Look at that, 11 NBA titles in 13 years. Now, some would argue, okay, kind of a different deal. The NBA was much smaller at the time, but I don't care if it's tiddlywinks, blackjack, whatever. You win 11 out of 13 years, man, you're doing something right.
Well, you had a great player in Wilt Chamberlain that was on your side of the ledger. And the Lakers were good in those days too. Now, I was a Lakers fan, yet I pull for Bill Russell. I was not a Celtics fan. I was a Lakers fan, big-time Lakers fan. And
we're basically right now going through some of the what I would call resume kind of stuff with him that's unbelievable. So in college, and Watson, this is before me, he led the University of San Francisco to back-to-back NCAA titles.
Yep.
And to my recollection, San Francisco has had a couple of moments, but not a lot.
Oh, no. He was the reason San Francisco was there. And then 12 NBA All-Stars. What happened what happened in that one season? How did he not get voted in that one season, I wonder? I wonder if that might be his first year ever he didn't get it, because they said he played 13 seasons.
Might have been a writer he wouldn't do an interview with. Because there's no question he had kind of a surly side to him.
Oh, yeah. I think that's part of him. I mean, it's what made him so dang competitive and tough. I mean, he didn't back down from anything now. The way I remember him in his prime, he didn't back down from anything.
So then,
is there a player, sorry to butt in, George, but is there a player that you watch today that you would think of and think back to Bill Russell? Like, is there any comparison nowadays, or is his game and his style of play and personality kind of behind the times right now?
I say no.
I say no.
I can't put one close to him. He played a different style, Billy. It wasn't a Dennis Rodman style because he could score. A lot of the things that I remember him being good at, that was Dennis Rodman. But yet this guy, if he had to have 25 that night for him to win, he could score 25. I mean, I can't name one.
So we move to this next one. Okay, not only did he win back-to-back national titles in college, won 11 NBA titles in only 13 seasons, the first black head coach to lead an NBA team to a championship. And oh, by the way, as though that wasn't enough, he was the captain of the 1956 gold medal winning U.S. Olympic basketball team. I mean, Watson, good Lord, what kind of an athletic resume is that?
Untouchable, isn't it? I don't know that any sport can put this up there. So if you look at all he's done, I don't know if there's anybody that can compare to it. Any sport that can do this. 5-time league MVP.
All of this leads, of course, to his induction into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Look at that thing on the bottom. 22 and a half rebounds per game. I mean, think about that.
That's why I brought that 22 up. I said he's getting 22 and nobody knows it. I mean, that's
the quiet 22 rebounds per game.
Well, and it's not what they just pick out to talk about. I mean, you've got Havlicek getting the points or whatever it might have been. It's just I've never seen a guy that quietly did what he did. Would you not say, George, he became more famous after all this than he was when he was doing it?
Oh, yeah. I think, first of all, you had a lot more media toward the end and then after he retired.
Yeah.
And they all see what's up there on that screen right now, which is, it's just ridiculous how good it is.
Without Bill Russell kind of a pioneer for the Celtics, do you think the Celtics still have this perception of kind of the Cowboys of the NBA? I don't know about America's team, but I mean, Celtics are as tradition rich as anybody in sports. I mean, Bill Russell was the guy. Do you think without Bill Russell, there's a little bit less steam? I mean, he's
sure not to there's no way to this level, Watson.
Oh, heavens no. And I would put it as the number one franchise in history because of all the victories, all the championships. I mean, the Cowboys, the New York Giants in football. There you can we can name 3 or 4 baseball teams, George, but they can't compare to this because of the number of championships.
You look at that logo.
Franchise has had.
That logo that's iconic.
Well, Billy, the thing, part of what made it iconic, not only was all this winning they did, but the Boston Garden and the red back.
Mm-hmm.
And this belief, Watson, in this belief that they, would get to the NBA finals back then in late April and May and turn the heat up.
I don't doubt it.
Turn the heat up in the Garden?
I don't doubt it. I had a coach, one of my coaches is AD, that begged me to do that at home games. I mean, begged me to do it. So I'm not going to say who it was, but you can probably figure it out.
Oh, I think, if you want to say
figure that one out. George could, I know. But so, there's no doubt about it. And there was no air conditioning, so they didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't care, George, you're better at this than me, but in all of basketball, college, pro, whatever, that gym is basketball to me.
Mm-hmm.
Over any arena in the country, bar none. That arena is basketball, in my opinion.
Well, it played host to so many iconic things. For a younger group, it's Celtics, Lakers in the 80s.
Yep.
The thing that we really haven't touched on in his ability yet was the shot blocking and the willingness to keep the ball in bounds after he blocked it. You see a lot of guys now who want to get a shot block, send it into the third deck, and get on ESPN Sports Center. Russell was much more of a just tap it, keep it in, because that was a winning play.
And beat you down the floor. He played, Billy, like a 4. He didn't play like a center. He could beat you down the floor. I mean, this man was in great shape. I just never saw him look tired. I remember those battles with Wilt, and Wilt be having them hands on them knees. And Bill's right in his face talking to him through the whole thing.
Some of you all may have seen, Billy, did they see the picture?
I'm pulling up an old picture of the Garden that we'll see real quick.
So
but
one of the things they used to say about the Garden was that it had dead spots, and the Celtics players knew where those were, and oftentimes visitors did not, and that was a huge advantage for that team back then. That's an end zone shot of it. They would come out of a tunnel near midcourt, and, you would see all those rafters, all those championship banners. in the rafters. It was an intimidating place. But now, Watson, let's talk a little bit about the other side of Bill Russell, and that is his willingness to fight for his race. There's a story that has gotten out that in the early 60s, a lot of these NBA teams would go essentially on a barnstorming tour in the preseason. And the Celtics were playing somewhere up in the state of Kentucky, and it had been determined that not everybody on that team was going to be fed. Not everybody was going to get housed together. And the story is that Bill Russell basically barged into Red Auerbach's hotel suite and said, "We are out of here."
I've read that more than once. I've read that. I truly believe it happened. And I don't think anybody could have walked into Red Auerbach's office and pulled that off but Bill Russell. I would think that Coach Auerbach was smart enough to understand, listen to him. And no, he was speaking up, George, and not getting anything at all from it in the early years when you're taking a heck of a chance to do it. And yet he was. But he was so respected by everyone. I've always thought he helped with all of that, George, because he was such a respected man as a minority. In those days, I lived in that time, and it's close on you, George, but I'm in the middle of that now. And the growing up and the respect that man had, you didn't see that back in the day like you do now. And I give him a lot of credit for getting that transformation done. There was so much happening in the 60s. We all know the stories. As I said, I'm a teenager living through all that. But this man, I thought, had as much to do with transition in the right way. Name me another one you would put up there. I put him right with Martin Luther King because he did it in a different way, but went about it the same way. Martin Luther King lost his life over it. And yet Bill Russell didn't back down either and did it in a classy way, George. He didn't go out and just yell and scream. And he had a way of doing it. And I thought got as much respect from it, from all kind of races, as anybody has ever gotten.
Watson, in his later years, it appears that he became the best goodwill ambassador that the NBA could have possibly had. There is the legendary story of him going and visiting Julius Erving when he was still a student at UMass. Kobe Bryant has made clear, before he passed away, that Bill Russell was, his mentor, that they spent hours upon hours talking to each other. Magic Johnson came out last night and said, Bill Russell's my hero. It appears that Russell accepted and maybe relished the role of being mentor, teacher, goodwill ambassador in his later years. Really a pretty incredible deal.
Oh, and not wanting one piece of credit for it. Not one piece of credit. I mean, he would do it and wouldn't want them to say anything, which is what I remember. And the other thing that, to me, I wonder, why didn't the NBA jump on him earlier than they did? Maybe Bill didn't want to do it. Maybe he didn't want the limelight. I don't know, but I would love to have seen the NBA get him involved a lot quicker than they did.
A wonderful man. This is a great loss for the basketball community. It's a huge loss for our country. Bill Russell was a pretty amazing man, passed away yesterday at the age of 88. I know we've got to go to the break. I see Brian Stewart in the background with One Stop Realty. Brian, how you doing? Good weekend for you?
Oh, it was a fantastic weekend, George. I've been praying for you, hoping that you're getting to feel better here soon.
I'm fine, although I got to say this. The the snot gods, or whatever you want to call them, erupted on me about 45 minutes ago. Everything had gone perfect, and then boom, and I had to run out of here for a second. I'm sure that was good TV.
Well, one thing that I love, George, is whenever I come on and do my spot with you, I never expected in a million years to be talking about the snot gods. But here we are talking about the snot gods.
Word.
I mean, that's what it's all about right there. Hey, George, we had as an office, I took my whole office down to the Sounds game last night. We had 65 people there up on the Advanced Financial Party deck. Had a great time. That's something that we enjoy doing as a company, is going to the ballpark, going bowling. We build this company around family, taking care of each other. And that's something that I want to continue to do. And I try to let other agents know that there are alternatives out there. If you want to come in and be a part of a family, that's what we've got going on here. Just a fantastic night at the ballpark. Unfortunately, they lost, but it was prefaced by the Braves walking off yesterday, which was an amazing game, by the way.
Oh, how about that victory? That was well done. Austin Riley, if he's not number one on the National League's list for MVP, I don't know who would be.
Well, and they asked him after the game, you have 35, 40,000 people chanting MVP. I mean, that's got to say something, to step up. And after Olsen got on base and him to drive him in, that was an incredible moment for Austin Riley. And George, I wanted to let you know too, I went to Titans training camp this morning. It looks like the Titans are, getting geared up for a great season. Got some good pictures of Derrick Henry out there. Yes, that man is as large as he is advertised. That is a large human being right there.
Did you try to sell him a house?
I did not try to sell him a house. Unfortunately, I didn't even get to talk to him, but I did get a picture of him and a picture of Vrabel out there. And the Titans had a great training camp this morning, good practice and everything. It was really fired up there on the 7-on-7. So they had a good time, and it seems like everybody's really fired up for this season.
That's excellent. Brian, tell me a little bit about your business and how people can reach you if they want.
Well, like we said before, George, we're in our 47th year of being a real estate brokerage in Middle Tennessee here in Hendersonville. If you want to get with the agents here, you can call us at the office. The number is 615-822-0750. My number is 615-440-7011. We're at onestoprealtytn.com, and we're on Facebook and Instagram, and we would love to have you like and follow our page.
Beautiful. Hey, thanks as always. We'll do it again tomorrow.
George, you get better, man. No more snot gods.
Watson, that's a new word I just came up with.
Put it in the Plaster dictionary. It's a wonderful dictionary, Brian.
Y'all have a great day.
Yeah, Brian, you too. See you tomorrow. Luckily, it doesn't appear in paperback or anywhere near anything.
We don't want it to appear.
No, we don't. Watson, guess what we have after the break?
What do we have after the break today, baby?
A huge trade in baseball that is going to send some shockwaves.
I'm anxious.
Down a couple of hours ago. We will talk about it next. This is Main Street Media Television.
Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you.
Tell me a little bit about your company.
So One Stop Realty has been around since 1974. We are your hometown brokerage. It is family owned by me. We have 30 agents that are waiting to help you with all your real estate needs. That counts as residential, commercial, and property management. We also will be getting into the auction business at the end of this month as well. We have listings that range from every price range that you can think of on the real estate market. I know Shelly Tucker has a new listing coming up in Gallatin. Heather Patton has one in Madison right around the corner here. I have one coming up myself. We have everything you need as far as real estate, and we have the expertise to help you out.
Beautiful. Give them a phone number.
Phone numbers for the office is 615-822-0750. You can find us on the web at www.onestoprealty.tn.com.
Thanks for getting involved with us.
George,
really
thank you for
appreciate
having
this. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I think so.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
So you can see I'm busily writing down a few things that have come out here in the last hour, hour and a half. Watson, the Braves today designated for assignment Robinson Cano. This is the third team this year that has done that to him. I have no idea, never understood the move to begin with. His biggest contribution to my way of thinking was catching the first ball ceremony Saturday night with his former manager, Joe Torre.
Cruel.
I don't
you
get
are so
it.
bad. You'll turn on one in a heartbeat.
Well, I never got that move. Never really understood it to begin with. But let's get to the big story. And I think this one is going to have people in Milwaukee scratching their heads. Josh Hader the left-handed reliever, 4-time All-Star, absolutely as intimidating as it gets. He goes from the Brewers to San Diego in an exchange of closers. Taylor Rogers, who has nowhere near the name recognition that Hader does, goes to Milwaukee. Now, there are other principles involved in this. I'm looking lefty pitching prospect Robert Gasser, outfielder Esteury Ruiz, and right-hander Dinelson Lamet go to Milwaukee. They had better be really good, because if I'm a Milwaukee fan, I don't get it.
You think our boy Poggi is in? Somebody better revive him today over that one. No, I don't understand that.
Yeah, I doubt he was thrilled.
I can't see that.
Now, here's the secondary piece of this. Okay, in Milwaukee, I don't get this move at all. But there is also the Juan Soto sweepstakes. And a lot of people think the Nats are dealing with 3 teams, that it's down to 3: the Dodgers, the Padres, and the underdog St. Louis Cardinals. And I don't know if San Diego, I don't know if there's something in this deal that clears out room. I don't really see how there would be. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, if I'm the Nats, I'm trying to get more teams involved in Juan Soto than 3. But that's the big name at the deadline that's still out there.
Yeah, and watch it. It's got to happen today, I'd say. So I'm really anxious to see that one. I don't know why. I just got a feeling it's the Cardinals. We'll see. So, Billy, you're a baseball fan. Help me. I don't get it.
George, you talking about Hader?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of when the Braves traded Craig Kimbrell a little bit. In that moment, we knew, we had gotten a lot out of Kimbrell, but still, it was kind of like, hey, it's a big piece for us.
Yeah, but if you remember, that deal was made not with Craig Kimbrell in mind, but to get rid of B.J. Upton's massive salary. San Diego agreed to take that salary as part of it. And that's the reason it happened.
Yeah. And so maybe it's not as comparable, but just kind of the thoughts of a fan. They've
got to be furious.
Yeah. I remember when Kimbrell got traded, that fan, we were like, what's going on? But the focus was obviously the Uptons. But right now for Brewers fans, that's your guy. That's kind of in pitching. What we talked about it all the time is king in baseball. He's your best pitcher. He's your best weapon, especially in the back of that bullpen. And now he's gone.
So Watson, I know you're going to ask me, what are the Braves going to do?
Yep.
Okay, this is just my theory. If Ian Anderson had bombed Saturday night and they had felt like, oh, this is a bigger problem than we know, I think the Braves would have been after a starting pitcher today or tomorrow before the deadline. However, Ian Anderson helped me with this, Billy. What was it, 5 1/3 perfect innings against Arizona?
You're probably right, George.
So because of that, I think the Braves are going to back off the starting pitcher thing. And I think the only deal they're really looking at right now is an outfielder due to Adam Duvall's injury. They believe they're getting Kirby Yates back. Very good reliever at one point with the Padres, who has had injury issues the last 2 years. I think the Braves are sitting there going, we're plenty okay with the team we have. We just need the dadgum Mets to lose.
Well, you need them to lose, but you also got to catch them. So I hope they're doing the right thing here. Who's coming back anytime soon, George, that's been hurt with the Braves? Is there anybody?
Kirby Yates is the one player.
You said that one. Is that the only one you can think of right now?
Yeah, Duvall is out for the year.
Right.
Watson's right, though. They got to get healthy. That's kind of the the bottom
If they're
line.
not going to get healthy, they got to bring somebody in. If some of these guys are going to get back, time to be better than the Mets. You can't wait on the Mets to blow it. You got to be better than the Mets.
I understand that. The Mets are playing at a pace.
Better than the Mets.
I don't know whether they are. Look, tomorrow night's huge in that respect. Jacob deGrom comes back for the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
First time he will have pitched in more than a year in Washington. If he is good, if he's lights out, if he's somewhere between good and lights out,
look out.
Then the Mets become the favorite in that division.
The favorite right now to me. The Braves have not been as good as the Mets all year long, even in that stretch where they caught up with all those wins in a row. I never felt like I thought the Braves were better than the Mets. And I don't know. I would have thought that he would have gone after a couple with the different injuries we've had and would have tried to improve the team a little bit more than he has this go around.
Well,
a little bit surprised by it. I'm not saying he's wrong, and you're kind of defending it, saying you think they're good enough to do it. I haven't felt they've been good enough to do it all year for some reason. To catch the Mets, I'm talking about.
Yeah, and the problem is the Mets are at the very top of the field. I mean, they have become, not to the Dodgers level, but you've got, first of all, you got a little different structure this year. In the past, the wild card was a 1-game crapshoot. Now it's 2 out of 3. And if the season stopped today, the Braves would get either the Cardinals or the Phillies. And Billy, I think I'm right. In the 2 out of 3, don't they have all 3 home games?
I think so. Yeah, the higher seed would have all 3 home games there. So
see, so being fourth is not quite the crapshoot it has been over the last 10 years. Not that I want to settle for that, but it's one of the things you have to think about.
On the Mets, though, George, I mean, what clicked for them? I mean, they didn't come out of nowhere. I mean, they were a pretty solid baseball team last year, but I mean, what got into them this year?
4 letters, 1 word, Buck.
Buck Showalter?
He's a hell of a manager.
That's it?
I think it is. I think he walked in and basically said, the talent is here. It's time to start winning.
So he changed the culture.
I think he put a belief in them. For instance, a guy that I've thought was kind of a dud with the Mets, Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah.
Nimmo has become a hell of a center fielder.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's the difference in the Mets. I think some of their younger players that maybe didn't believe in the past, he's done something that's caused it.
He's getting something out of guys like Nimmo that previous managers weren't getting. And
their pitching has been better. You know, Carrasco has been lights out for them. Max Scherzer, what else needs to be said? If deGrom comes back healthy, and obviously tomorrow night's his first start in over a year, Watson, that will determine a lot of where the Mets are going.
It's amazing to me they've done what they have. Now they've spent money. We got to give the owner some credit. Now
they've spent a ton.
They've gone out and tried to make themselves championship level. So I just want to throw that in there because I look at a lot of these pro sports. It's all about who owns them and who's willing to take the next step. And I think they have. And then smart enough to hire Buck. What a perfect hire. I mean, this guy was with the Yankees. Yeah. He knows the city. I mean, what a perfect hire, George.
It was genius.
He's used to talent like that, being around the Yankees. And I don't know. I just thought it was, why in the world has he been sitting this long? Somebody ain't grabbed him up. I don't know.
And he's not going to put up with any crap in that dugout either.
If you know him at all, like I do and George does, Buck is kind of a country boy kind of
coach.
Way he carries himself. I mean, this is the way it is, boys, period.
Let's go. Nonsense.
No nonsense now.
Yeah.
None. But yet players love him. And that's a hard twosome.
Yeah.
That is a hard twosome to put together right there.
So between tonight, as we get off the air, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and tomorrow afternoon, Lord only knows where all this is headed. That's why the trading deadline is so fascinating. I know we got to go to the break. We will wrap it up with the Plaster bet of the day. Watson, we're on a one-game winning streak.
Oh, man, that's fantastic.
And after this one, it'll be 2. So stick around. This is Main Street Media Television.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Final segment of the show will be Plaster Bet of the Day. Watson, while we were on our deathbed, we did achieve a victory last week in a game that I can't even remember who it was. But, I'm just glad to take it.
George, you should remember every win.
Oh, ooh, good one, Billy.
Yeah.
There's so few, he ought to be able to remember those, right?
Yeah, same to both of you. So are we reviewing first?
Yes, we're going to review, George.
Okay.
5 and 8 so far. So I guess if you want to get to 8 and 8, Jeff Fisher, you got to reel off 3 in a row here.
But doesn't 5 and 8 get you into a bowl game during COVID?
That is so
I
bad.
don't even know.
That is so bad. No, 5-8 is not going to get you in a bowl game. No.
So there wasn't enough of a shortage.
5-6, maybe 5-7, not 5-8. You're not going at 5-8.
So at 5-7, I could have gotten Camellia.
Oh, geez. Oh, man.
It says I took the Astros last Thursday.
Yeah, so do you remember that game, George?
Yeah, it was against Seattle.
Do you remember how it went? Or
yeah, they won.
That's it.
So let's reveal what's going to get me to 6-8.
Oh
the
my
Yankees.
That's gotta hurt you.
So Seattle. Go ahead, Watson.
I say you've lost it. You're now taking the Yankees. You're so desperate. You're taking the Yankees.
Well, let me say this. I am a little bit desperate. I'm trying everything I know how to get within, within striking distance of 500. So I'm not taking a lot of, by the way, that's somebody's bookie calling.
That's the phone ringing 2 rooms out. I'm going to have to do something about that.
We got a phone call coming in.
Yeah. Anyway, the Yankees go with Herman tonight. Gonzalez goes for Seattle. Seattle has had 2 weekends in a row where the Astros have whooped up on them. And so about the time that they were really looking like a wild card contender, Houston has beaten Seattle 7 of 8, and now they got to go to Yankee Stadium. So, Watson, I believe we've got ourselves a victory.
Yeah, that's it, man. The team you despise the most, you take. I mean, he can be bought very easily, Billy. He can be bought.
He can be bought.
I don't like either one of your attitudes.
It's got a cheap price tag.
Cheap. We all have a price. George's is very cheap.
By the way, before we leave, and believe me, you and I will have a discussion about these comments later. This has come out here in the last few minutes. In her report, Susan Robinson, the arbitrator in the Deshaun Watson case, wrote that, quote, the NFL carried its burden to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that Mr. Watson engaged in sexual assault as defined by the NFL against the 4 therapists identified in the report. Mr. Watson violated the policy in this regard. However, she goes on to say that in a 15-page conclusion, that although Watson violated the personal conduct policy, there was not enough evidence to justify an indefinite suspension, which is what the NFL wanted.
Well, it's what I say, what I said early in the show. This one's hard because there's just not the evidence there. I don't think there's any of us that don't think something went down here, but there's just not enough there. And there is no criminal charges, George. And when you have no video, no evidence, no criminal charges, man, you got to be careful, in my opinion. I'm not defending anything here. I'm just saying this one to me is one of their tougher ones to have to deal with.
Yeah, it becomes more he said, she said.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Watson, tomorrow we got a good show for you. Craig Patrick, who is the commissioner of this thing called 3 Ice, which will be in Nashville on Saturday, big 3-on-3 hockey deal. That sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. He will join us. He was also an assistant coach on the U.S.'s gold medal winning team that beat the Soviet Union back in 1980. And boy, he shares some really cool stuff about that.
Oh, that'll be neat. That's one of the highlights of my time to watch that, no doubt.
And then in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll meet up with Indiana football coach Tom Allen. The interview conducted late last week. Indiana football no longer the doormat in the Big Ten that it used to be. And he talks about some of the things that he tried to do to help make the culture better. And so I think a lot of people will enjoy that.
Yeah, he's done a great job, George. Really changed everything there. Hard place to do it, too. So give him credit.
Watson, you behave until tomorrow.
I'll try my best, George, to be a nice guy.
And Billy, as for you, you'll be called to the principal's office to discuss some of your comments about bet of the day. While
George.
Watson's over there smiling, oh, this is not the way it's going to be.
We got to get our shots in when we can.
See all of you tomorrow. The snot gods will be one day farther out of my body. We'll see you then on Main Street Media Television.